I told you I was going to do it, and I ended up doing it, man. I played through Limbo. Limbo is such a goated fucking title, dude. I really don't know. Like, if you haven't played Limbo before, please go back and play it. Go back and play it. Hello, guys. This is Jerry Yap, as you know. I'm back with another official episode. I believe this is going to be episode number 5, and we're discussing Limbo, one of my personal favorite single-player games ever made. I just love the way they do the side-scrolling storytelling, you know what I mean? Like, there's no dialogue, right? So you're just playing through a side-scrolling platform, and the story and the environment is evolving as you play through and progress it. It's so awesome, man. I honestly love this game so much, dude. So let's get into Limbo, man. We'll just do an intro really quick on what it's about. And yeah, so let's get right into it, man. The Limbo, it's a 2D side-scrolling puzzle platformer, horror game, right? It has a lot of horror elements, which you get into as you play through the game itself. Basically, you play as this boy trapped in this hellish landscape known as Limbo. If you don't know what Limbo is, I really don't even know what it is. It's basically what is it? It's like purgatory in a way. It's like on the edge of hell. I haven't read the Bible or anything. I'm sure it talks about it more. I haven't looked too into it, but Limbo is basically like you're stuck in this loop, this never-ending cycle, and you're just stuck there for eternity, right? I that's basically the gist of it. You can look into it if you want. I just don't really know. But basically, you're playing as this boy who's navigating this place, this limbo, in search of your sister. And that's pretty much it, man. That's the whole story. A lot of things happen along the way. And that's really it, man. That's the intro, buddy. I'm going to take a quick break. And we'll just talk about the game, man. We'll talk about my likes about it, my dislikes. We'll get all into it in a minute, all right? So it's kind of actually funny how I found out about this game. I actually did not buy it when it released. It did release on July 21st in 2010 on Xbox first. Came to platforms later, other platforms later. Released first on Xbox, but I got this for free from a message. It was not on the date. It was definitely months later. I think it was because I've been an Xbox Live Gold member for so long. Xbox messaged me and they gave me a code for this game. I don't know how many people that happened to. I'm assuming it happened to a lot of people, but that was pretty cool, man. So I didn't have to pay for this game. They gave it to me for free. So I was like, okay, sure, free game. Let me check it out. And after completing it all that time ago, back in 2010, 11, whenever I got it, I don't even remember. I could actually go back and look at my Xbox achievements really quick. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that. Yeah, let me go back and look at my achievements. I actually do want to see when I beat this game the first time. So 1 second. Okay, so I just beat the game in way back when. It was November 25th of 2014. So I looked up when Xbox gave out Limbo, and it was to people that were an Xbox One early adopter, which I just means I just would assume it means you were like one of the first to have an Xbox One, because I do remember I got the Xbox One on launch day. So that was pretty cool. It's cool that they gave out this game for free, but yeah, way back in 2014, man, I did not expect that. So we're talking about it like legitimately 10 years later. And this game absolutely holds up. Like you hear this game came out in 2010, so it's like 14 at this point. 14-year-old game, like that's considered retro nowadays, isn't it? Like around 15 or 20 years, right? I can't remember when it officially becomes retro. I mean, I guess it's all opinion based, but yeah, this 14-year-old game holds up extremely well for its time, guys. I mean, if for some reason you're listening to this and you haven't played this game, like I very much urge you to please go and play it. It doesn't take long, which is why I liked it, man. Apparently I beat this game like one day after they gave it out. So, you know, it really didn't take that long. Some of the puzzles were pretty confusing, especially going back to it all those years later. I didn't remember a lot of them. And I don't know, man. I really, really love this game. It's very unique, man. And ever since, like, if Xbox never gifted this game to me for free, 3 of my all-time favorites I probably never would have touched, you know, Limbo being them, Limbo, Inside, and Somerville. which I will talk about later as their own episodes. But yeah, man, I can't believe that. Like, I probably never would have bought this game otherwise, which is just really cool. I played it on Steam this time around. I do have it on Steam. I've played through it a couple times already. But that's besides the point, man. Why don't we just talk about what happens when you start the game off? So yeah, you fucking start the game and your kid he's just asleep on the ground, right? And you wake up and you start walking. And one of the first things I noticed was the sound, right? The sound in this game is it's very capturing. The music plays like this weird ambiance of like, I don't really know how to describe it because I just don't really know how to describe music, but it like captures you emotionally, right? The game, like, the sound design in this game is incredible. Like, there's no music, there's no like tracks or tunes or anything, but it's more of like an ambiance, like an aesthetic, a feel, right? And it really just contrasts with all like the punchiness and of all the other stuff in the game, like the spider, for example. The guns are very punchy, very raw sounding. The gears turning as you get into the game later, and that's one of the first things I picked up, man. It's just like the black and white aesthetic pairs very well with it too. It's just a solid gameplay design, dude. Like, I love this game, man. So you're just, you're playing through, jumping over various obstacles, doing various puzzles. I'm not going to sit here and talk about all the puzzles and how to fix them, or not fix them, but how to solve them and all that stuff. But I'm basically just going to talk about the flow of the game and how it transforms throughout your playthrough, which is honestly like one of my all-time favorite parts of this game. I absolutely adore the fact that you're playing through this game and it's evolving as you're playing through it. There's no dialogue, there's no characters talking to each other, there's nothing you got to pay attention to. The only thing you're paying attention to is the shifting environment and the way the game progresses, right? And that's very cool, man. So you start off in like this forest area and you just progress throughout the forest area. You eventually get on this boat and then you sail across this way. And then once you're done with that, you climb up this giant thing and then you run into the bear trap puzzles for the first time, which when I first played this game, dude, you don't see them in the first time, or at least I didn't. So I ran right into the bear trap and got myself snatched up. Which is I forgot to mention, this game's gore is it's not gore, right? Like, you don't see a whole lot, but you do see like your character fall apart and limbs fall off. It's actually pretty creepy and interesting. But yeah, you move these bear traps around so you can jump around them, right? And that's pretty much all you have to do for that. The puzzles in the beginning of the game are very easy. They don't get too hard until like midway and to the end of the game. But the way, like, they just sound, right? You hear the loud crunch and the snap, and it's just like all you're hearing is like forest ambiance at this point. So it's just, I love the sound of the traps, like contrasting with like the not cheerfulness, but like, just the slow, methodical sound that's in this game. It really just works well with each other, really bounces off each other very well. It's just something I adored, man. So fucking iconic. Then after that, basically, you run. There's this little log you jump on. There's a boulder that kind of takes you by surprise. It definitely killed me the first couple times, but you just have to run backwards and avoid it. Not too complicated. And then basically there's this puzzle where you got to climb this set of trees, and one of the trees is broken at the top. You have to knock the tree limb off onto the ground, which becomes your raft across this pond with. And also your first secret is up here. I don't know if it's the first one actually, but I'm pretty sure it's the first. Here, I'll talk a little bit about the secrets just now. I didn't go into them. If you watch my gameplay, I'm uploading a gameplay to YouTube as I speak, my full playthrough, so you can check that out if you want to. No commentary at all, so you can just put it on chill if you want to watch something. So yeah, the secret you pick up, they're like these little things that you squash, like an egg or something. Or maybe it's like a piece of goo. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's kind of weird, but just secrets really serve zero purpose in the game except for to get more percentage at the end, right? Like the game tells you how much percent you've completed it. And there's also an achievement for every secret. So if you want to go for achievements, you can do that. I was an achievement slut back in the day, so I went through them all, went through and got them all, probably with walkthroughs, because there's no way my dumb ass was finding these back in the day. You know what I mean? So that's cool if you want to go for that. I'll mention really quick, there's one achievement I'm missing, and it's for getting through the game without dying, which is fucking impossible. I know people have done it. I'm sure speedrunners do it all the time. But it's just hard for the casual like me, man. But yeah, that's it. Secrets are kind of worthless, but that's that. So you cross the little lake, or not little pond, with this river, and then you run into the spider for the first time, and he's kind of like behind this little tree. He's got legs he's trying to stab you with. And I've definitely gotten stabbed the first couple times until you realize you have to make him pound the ground and run away, because he kind of like pounds the ground, and then you realize there's this bear trap hanging on this little branch that he knocks off when he hits the ground. So you bring the bear trap over, and you basically bait him into sticking his legs into it 3 times, and then he eventually fucks off. Then you can just run right past where he was. Eventually, you're just traversing the forest area still, and then eventually you start to get slowed, right? And you're like, what the hell's going on, man? Why can't I move? I'm literally sitting here jumping. I can't move at all. And then you see the fucking spiders slowly creep up on you, and you're like, oh boy, what's going on here? Oh, I'm fucked, aren't I? And then he picks you up, and you're like, okay, I'm dead. I obviously have to do this again. But it's actually part of the gameplay, man, which is pretty cool. So he wraps you up in a web. And now you're just sitting there floating. And you're like, oh, fuck, dude. And then you start wiggling your controls a bit, and then you fall. You're still wrapped up in his web, but you can move, right? You have access to your controls. The only thing is you have to hop instead of walking and running, right? So you have to hop. You basically just keep hopping along, and then the spider eventually realizes, oh, shit, my prey is getting away from me here. And then he tries to chase you down. There's a small gap you have to jump through, but basically, yeah, you're just outrunning the spider, man. You slide down this hill, jump across this thing, push this boulder to knock over this little tree thing. And he's actually not chasing you at this point. You're kind of just traversing the level as a webbed up little boy, which is kind of crazy. But then you land on this boulder, and you kind of have to make it go forward by jumping backwards onto the center. And at this point, the spider realizes that you're escaped, and he comes back for you, right? So he comes back for you as you're on this boulder, and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get caught again. So then you're praying for this boulder to go faster, man. You are praying and praying and praying for this fucking boulder to speed up, right? You're like, give me Lucio speed boost at this point. Give me jump jets. Give me something, bro, to get me out. And then you jump across the gap before he can get you, and you fall, and then you get unraveled as you fall. So now you are back to the boy with all your normal jumping and running capabilities, right? So at this point, you're just traversing the forest still. You're dodging bear traps still. You're figuring out puzzles to get them out of the way. You're jumping and parkouring through trees that are falling. There's this giant like boulder that comes around on a string and tries to crash into you, but you can jump over it, and then you can just progress through the map. Now you're just hitting switches and running through the map. Not switches, but you encounter other humans for the first time ever in Limbo, and they're hostile, man. Like, of course they're hostile. Why would they help you, right? Why would they help you? They're hurling these flaming rings at you. You have to bait out the first one, run back, jump over the little gap, and then go back as soon as it falls into the pit. And then you can climb the ladder that's behind them, chase them up the ladder. And then you're basically just they have these bear trap things set up. There's one that's hanging, so it's death, it's despair, it's depression, it's just a hellscape that you're trying to just fucking survive, man. So you dodge these bear traps, and then you're on to the next part. And the next part, you thought he was gone, but he's not. Your spider nemesis comes back, and it's like this cool little chase sequence where he's chasing you through these part of the forest land with the ponds and whatnot. And then there's this tree branch you have to use as like a seesaw. He puts his foot on it, and you have to jump at the exact same time that he sends you upwards, because there's this little gap you have to cross that you can't unless the spider helps you out. Which honestly took me forever the first couple times. I honestly died a couple times on this playthrough as well to this part, just because the timing is so crucial. If you mess up the timing, you just die, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is, Is what it is. That's the challenge of the game, is just figuring out these jump timings. You push over this little tree branch. He's still chasing you at this point. And then there's this boulder being propped up by a stick. You have to break the stick and just jump down this little crevice thing. And then the boulder will come and fucking kill the spider at last, right? So then you're just traversing through the forest map still. The scenery has not changed yet. That's it, man. You're just traversing, you're traversing here. And then you eventually come to this spike pit that you see the other humans, right? I read online that there are other boys, but these are definitely adults, I think, because they're taller than you. They could be boys, but I just think they're adults, man. I think they're sick, twisted adults that want to kill you, man. But then as soon as you notice that, or they notice the spider comes up again behind you, you're like, wait, I just fucking killed this thing. I fucking killed this dickhead. What the hell's going on? But then you realize he only has one leg left. So the spider has one leg left. And this is where you finally take his bitch ass out. He tries to stab you, and you can get stabbed, so he can still kill you. But what you have to do is you kind of bait his attack, you run away from him, and then you can grab onto his leg, actually, and then you kind of just fucking rip his last leg off, and he dies right on the spot there. And what's actually gruesome as fuck is that you have to use his body and his head, you roll it into the spike pit to use as a bridge, which is kind of badass, right? You use this fucker's body as a bridge to progress through the rest of the game, which is if that's not poetic, David and Goliath type shit, I don't know what is, man. So that's that, man. You kill the fucking spider, which is your arch nemesis for 1/3 of this game, I would say. Probably around 1/3. And then you're just still progressing through the forest, man. And you have these various puzzles with boxes. Not going to get too much into them. We'll just keep going here. Basic fucking puzzle boxes here. You have to use them to jump onto higher ledges and stuff like that. And then you come across this pond area with this one human who's actually still alive. He's got this little bug thing attached to his head. Eventually falls into the pond, and you have to use his body as you have to use a couple dead bodies as platforms to jump on. And then you come across this giant ass trap thing. It's like a giant brick that's held up by this tripwire. And if you fall into the tripwire, you get crushed. So what you have to do is drag one of the dead bodies up, throw it into the pit, let it trigger the tripwire, and then you can jump up on the rock that tries to slam you down and progress. And then the next part is there's these... This is where it's kind of getting into the mechanical and industrial part of the game, which is a cool change of location and pace. But there's these little things that want to crush you. You have to stand on certain parts or jump over certain parts to progress through it. And then the guys, the humans that finally want to kill you are at the end of them. And you have to bait them backwards. They have to chase you, and then things will eventually crush them, and then you can continue backwards on. And then you get to one of the more interesting puzzles in the game. There's these ropes you have to hang on, which... how do I explain this? There's these two doors that raise the longer you hold on to these little lines, and you have to figure out how to get both of these open. I'm not going to spoil it and talk about it just because who fucking cares, right? Go play the game yourself. So you just progress through that part. After a while, it took me a while the first time to figure out what the fuck to do, but it's not too hard in the end. You just got to use a little brain power here. So then once you beat that puzzle, you come back outside of the forest landscape again, and you come across this little weird dog thing, and then it kind of burrows into the land and goes away. But this is the introduction of the newest twist of the game, I guess you'd call it, or twist mechanic of the game. These little bugs shoot onto your head, and what they do is when there's one on your head, you can only walk in one certain direction, walk or run in one certain direction. And if you hit a ray of sunshine or a ray of light, then the bug starts burning and then it turns you around and you can go the other way. But the thing is you cannot change direction. You are forced to walk or run or jump in that one certain direction, which adds a layer to the puzzle that's pretty fun. I like this mechanic. I think it's pretty fun. I'm sure some people would say it's a bad mechanic, but I don't mind it. I think it's pretty cool. So I guess I'll just talk about it now. That's all of the mechanic there is. There's certain puzzles that require that. I'm not going to get too in depth about it, but you basically just have to have good jump timings, know what objects to push and to jump on top of to avoid death. And that's all there really is to it, man. Pretty straightforward. And then the way to get rid of this bug is there's these little, I like to think they're birds, but they're like these little beaks that come out of the ceiling, like out of a nest almost. And you have to find a way for them to jump up to them for them to eat it, right? And in this case, it's a box you have to jump on. Later, it's different objects. It's usually a box, though. And then you get the thing off of your head, and you can finally have free movement again. And this is where that little bullpup thing comes back into play. You get into the more industrial part of the game here. There's more gears and shit you have to do. There's this little platform you have to jump on, which has like this food or larva or something that you knock down, and this thing eats it. And then you have to jump behind it and basically force it to go the other direction on this little hamster wheel thing. Once it gets on this little hamster wheel and starts running, then you can hit the switch and start up the machines or the machinery, right? So it starts up the machinery and it starts raining, which does play a big part in this next puzzle because you honestly cannot solve it unless it is raining. So that's that. You have to drag this log that's in this pit to the middle, because this acts as your platform to bridge the gap between this giant pit. And then you hold onto this chain, which makes this aqueduct built, and then it's able to fire water off into this pit. But you have to be quick here and traverse it pretty quickly, or else the water will go down to a level where you can no longer make the jump. And that was it. That didn't take me too long the first time to figure out. Like I said, this playthrough, at this point, I've played through the game a couple times already to kind of know most of the puzzles. Again, there's puzzles I didn't expect when I came back too, which took me by surprise, man, and it was fun to come back to. But yeah, like I said, this is more. This game gets into the industrial part, and there's a lot of puzzles to do with water levels here. Which, if I had a complaint about the game, I know I'm gonna have to come up with something at the end to complain about. I would guess the water puzzles weren't my exact favorite. Water in this game, there's like small puddles you can walk through, but it'll kill you if you fall into it. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. I didn't really care for these water type puzzles where you got to raise and lower water levels, but that's it, man. That's the most I hate about this game. The rest of the game is very fucking fun to me. So once you're done with all those water puzzles, I'm just going to skip them because honestly, just go play them or go look through them if you want. It's just hard to explain, I'm not going to sit here and explain the certain water levels of every object you have to do and whatnot. But basically, you get one of those larva things attached to your heads here and you traverse down this whole entire thing, bro. Like it takes you so fucking far away. And then you eventually get it taken off or not get it taken off. It spins you around and you have to go up this whole thing again, right? It's actually kind of a long section with this larva thing on your head, man. This puzzle involves ladders too. You have to basically go back and forth a couple times, and then you have to face the right side eventually as the water's coming up, and then it's slowly raising this piece of wood at the same time. You jump onto that, and then that's pretty much it. I think you get the larva thing eaten at the end of this section here. Once the water is done fully raising up too. And then you kind of get into like the city section of the map, right? I'm pretty sure this is where it happens. You climb up this giant ladder and it takes you to like the city section and you have to jump over this giant gap, which took me a while to figure out. I was looking for a switch or something I had to pull, but you just basically have to have this really awesome jump timing to clear this gap here and hang on to the edge. And then in this part of the game, you slide down this rooftop. You basically climb up this big storm drain thing. I died jumping off my first time because I thought it was going to fall off, but it doesn't actually fall off. You just have to climb to the top. It starts to fall off, and then you just chill. And then you come up to this hotel sign, right? And the hotel sign has electricity, and it's still raining at this point, so you have to have good jump timings here to get it when it's not like electrocuted, right? So then you jump across, and then you have to, basically just not get fucking fried by electricity. Sorry, whenever I don't feel like I have something to talk about in my mind, all I hear, if you guys are Always Sunny fans, I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's one of my favorite fucking shows. I always, if you remember the podcasting episode, Danny DeVito goes dead air whenever they don't have nothing to talk about. So I feel like every time I have something I want to say, but there's kind of a quiet portion. Because, this is kind of hard to do by yourself, man. Usually most podcasts have one or two people, or not one, like two or more people to bounce ideas off of and to give turns to talk. But it's actually kind of tiring. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah. So I just think of dead air whenever I don't have something to talk about and there's a few minutes of or a few seconds of silence. I just think that's funny. So if I say dead air in the future, that's pretty much what I'm referring to. So as you jump on the O of the hotel, this one is not lit up. It kind of breaks the T. You have to go down and do the power switch to turn all of it off and then progress through. Guys, I think I'm going to start cutting it short talking about the puzzles themselves, just because I feel like that's the whole gameplay and figuring it out is the most fun, right? It's at least what it was for me. So I'm just going to briefly go over what you're doing in the game. And not focus on the puzzles so much, just because I feel like that's like, who fucking cares, right? I don't feel like anybody would want to hear about the puzzles individually. I'm just going to basically talk about what I find fascinating, and then at the end, because I kind of want to get through all of this first, and then eventually talk about my likes and dislikes at the end. Because I feel like that's really what the meat of this, what this talk show or podcast is going to be about, is just what I like and dislike most about it. Because, nobody wants to hear me talk about playing through the whole game. You'd rather play it yourself. And that makes sense. I want you to do that, honestly. You're still at the rooftop level at this point, and then there's basically this glass puzzle where you have to break the glass and jump down to the glass, and then you basically get shot down this whole big segment. You have to just traverse down deeper into the world that is Limbo. You run into one of the fucking leech things again that makes you run a certain way. So after you do that whole section, what happens next is you get onto the first buzzsaw thing, and you have to properly time this jump to get over this buzzsaw. And it's honestly, dude, the sound is so fucking intimidating, right? The sound design in this game, I won't suck its dick enough, dude. I swear to God. The sound design, like, it's just, you're listening to nothingness, but like ambiance of whatever part of the game you're in. And then you just hear this giant buzzsaw just whirring and fucking sparks are flying, and it just sounds so cool contrasted with the bareness that's the original game sound. I just love that, dude. It sound like they really just went. Some geniuses honestly design. It's pure art, dude. I'm telling you, this game is honestly pure art. And that's what games are to me, man. They're just like art forms you can play through. It's fucking beautiful in a way. The story this game tells is so beautiful, man. In a fucked up, twisted way, right? But basically, once you get past the saw section, there's a couple levers you have to raise, and there's rope puzzle you got to figure out. Won't get too much into it. We'll just move on to the next part. There's another buzzsaw section with crates you have to lower one after the other. You just basically got to get the timings right so you can jump on them here. Not too much to say about it. You basically climb up this ladder to this bug. This is the first time you see like a creature other than the dog thing, which isn't an enemy, or the spider. It's this thing. It really isn't your enemy too. It's like this big mosquito. It's bigger than you. All you really have to do is sneak up to it and jump on its legs, and then it kind of lifts you above this section and shakes you off eventually. It doesn't actually end up being your enemy, which is cool, because this thing could probably easily fuck up a kid, seeing as how it's like twice the size of it. But yeah, this mosquito thing, it's pretty intimidating. And the sound, again, I'll talk about the sound. You just hear like the wings flapping, and you hear like a typical mosquito sound. It just sounds so good, man. Like they really nailed that shit in this game. So you're still in the industrial section at this point. You have to get like this wheel thing to fall down this cavern, and then you can use it to progress on to the next part, which is basically these giant gears you have to stand on, and then they carry you up and around to where you need to go. You have to use boxes from earlier to put them on this lift to lift yourself up to get to the next section of the game. And is this the first time you press a switch to make something happen? I know you move levers and shit, but I think this is the first time you press a switch, and there's like this little chain hovering over this electric thing that will fry you. So you have to basically have good jump timing and make the chain move along. Get on the chain, make it go back and forth a couple times, jump back off, and then you're able to press the button and kind of chase it to where it needs to be and jump over this part and clear it. And then there's this small gear you have to move into this larger gear, which then powers whatever fucking machine you're on, whatever machine this is. And this is where another gameplay element they kind of added in happens. Your whole level starts shifting around in like a giant circle. The level's moving, you're traversing it as it's moving. It's kind of trippy, kind of really cool. And once you're done with that, you're on to the first magnet puzzle. Magnet puzzles, basically, the floor gets magnified with a box or whatever on it, whatever magnet object is on it, and you have to, dead air, fucking magnetize this to the floor between this ladder and this piece you have to jump on. So then you can traverse upwards where you got to go, man. Pretty simple. It took me a while, actually, probably the first time that I played this game. Still took me a while. It took me a couple tries after to, really get this puzzle down, but not that hard. Not that hard. You just got to use your brain. And then you get into another one of those puzzles where the map kind of flips. There's saws you have to avoid. There's an electric fucking floor you have to avoid. You fall down onto this box. You use the momentum of the level twirling to ride the box to jump onto this other chain link thing. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep bringing up the sound, but dude, the sound of the saws whirring and the electrifying the floor. Oh, dude, it's just so raw and punchy, man. I need to get better adjectives to describe it, but it's fucking awesome, man. And then you get into another traversal puzzle where the map flips. So we're pretty used to this at this point. You basically just have to ride a box, jump through this little gap before it closes, and before this ball kills you that's gonna fall out as the map's swirling. So once you're done with this section, you kind of find your way back to the forest. And then your little sister or this little girl is kneeling down, just not looking at you. She's looking away from you, and you're kind of running towards her. And there's one of those little leeches again, man. So you think you're about to reunite with your sister finally, and then this little leech comes out of this pipe, sticks you, and then all of a sudden you're running backwards again. So you run away from her. Man. And then there's a light that makes it so you turn around again. So you start running towards her again. And then this is interesting. This part of the map is interesting, right? Because you think you're going to get back into the forest, but then you realize it's like an illusion or something. And there's just not that part at all. You go back down into this industrial, like mechanical factory place with this leech still attached to your head. So it kind of like you think you're like, oh, fuck, we're finally going to be reunited. Hell yeah. But sadly, no, not yet. There's just more steam press, little pressing puzzles you got to do here. I don't know what they call it. Like these things, basically a giant hydraulic press that'll squish you if your timing is shit. It took me a couple times to get through, but it's not too hard to figure out. Not too hard to figure out at all. There's a few more giant gear puzzles that you have to do. And then you get onto this little section with a ladder and this little fucking platform. You have to let it roll. And then you get on this minecart. And the minecart takes you down this whole thing. You have to jump over it because it gets dark in a section here. You have to jump over a saw to save yourself. And then the minecart runs into this button that electrifies the floor. So you kind of have to pull it away and have good timing to jump up on the platform and progress before you get electrified, which is pretty cool. It's like a little time trial puzzle. And then you get into one of those other puzzles where, you press the switch down and the level starts shifting around. It starts rotating clockwise here. And it's the part that's different about this one is it's completely dark except for one lamp above you, kind of swinging and showing you where everything is for a brief moment. And then you're able to get out of that. And now we're kind of getting into the last part of the game. As you progress there, you realize there's machine guns that you have to use to progress throughout the story here. And dude, let me talk about the fucking sound of the machine guns, right? Because at this point, it's very like angelic sounding. The music does a really good job at basically telling you, hey, like, you're getting close, man. You're progressing. Something's about to happen. It's very angelic sounding. So it's kind of like, it's making you think like the end is near, and you're finally going to be able to break out of limbo, and you're finally going to be able to, find your sister or do what it is that you're onto on this journey. So you have to use like the vertical machine gun to break the other machine gun, which took me a while to figure out my first time. I just think that's such a cool. I love how the puzzles different from one another. Like the sections of the game, like they keep it so fresh with these. I really just wanted to keep playing, man. I really wanted to keep playing and beat this shit. So then you get into this section, which is the newest and I believe the final big gameplay mechanic, which is gravity. It's weird, right? You can hit this little box and gravity shifts. So boxes will fly upwards, you will fly upwards. Basically it reverses gravity, so you're on the ceiling now, which is fucking really interesting, man. Very cool, very weird, very cool concept for like puzzles. And then you have to do puzzles like upside down kind of, and I really like this part of the game. So then there's these little elevators you got to take that go upwards. You got to get 2 boxes for this one. I'll just call it reverse gravity puzzle, where this you just need 2 boxes to progress throughout the map. Not too difficult. It's just finding the one box was a little complicated, but you just got to go. I'm telling you, if you go left instead of right in this game, sometimes you'll just find what you're looking for. You'll find the answer to all your problems here. And now we get into the part that I spent literally fucking forever on, dude. This part took me like 30 minutes alone. If you watch my playthrough, I cut a lot of it out just because it's just a lot of back and forth of trial and error. There's no deaths or anything, but it's just so confusing. There's this magnet part where you got to magnetize this big block on the left to go upwards, but at the same time, there's this one on the right you have to have on the floor, but it goes upwards as well. So you kind of have to keep hitting the anti-gravity in a way where the first one gets stuck, but the second one doesn't. It took me a long time to figure out because I'm fucking stupid and retarded. But yeah, you're closing in on the very end of the game at this point. And it's been a fucking journey, man. It's been a journey. You're still in the industrial part here. Couple more anti-gravity puzzles or reverse gravity puzzles. But that's really it, man. For some reason, we're back at the light up hotel sign. I actually don't know if this part, like what this part is. Is it part of the part we were at before? I don't know exactly, man. I encourage you to definitely look up. I'm not going to get into the story elements, but look into the story, man. It's pretty interesting. Pretty fucking interesting. There's just a few more gravity puzzles you got to solve here with dead air. With this is gonna crack me up every time. With saws and whatnot that you got to get through, and then the last puzzle of the game is here, and you break through this pane of glass, right? You use the last gravity switch to manipulate yourself through this this pane of glass, right? And then you break through this pane of glass, and this is the end of the game, man. You break through the end of the glass. Your character dies, right? I think he dies anyway, or maybe he doesn't. I think he dies though. It's going slow motion. You see him basically tumbling through the glass, and he's laying down, and you're back in the forest in this part, right? So it's just like weird how the fucking sections of the game kind of fit with each other. You're back in the forest, and then eventually, once you start button mashing like I did, you know, you have to just button mash and make him get up again, just like the beginning of the game. You're in the forest again. Dude, and I swear to God, when I fucking played through this part for the first time, I thought I was at the beginning of the game again. And I thought you literally just had to play through the whole game again. I was like, what the fuck? Is this what Limbo means? It's you just keep playing through the same thing with no end. But no, if you keep playing, you just have to progress a little bit through this forest part of the game. There's no puzzles or anything. You basically just have to keep walking forward, and then you find your fucking sister in this treehouse, right? I think it's a treehouse, right? There's a ladder. There's some pegs you can climb on this tree. Well, not you can climb because the game ends here, but you know, you see your sister. She's kneeling on the ground, looking away from you. And that dead air. Sorry, I can't stop, dude. You basically walk slowly up to her. She hears like a creak. She like lifts her head up. She doesn't look at you, but she just lifts her head up, and that's the end of the game, dude. Like that's it. The screen goes black. You're back at the title screen. And it's just so genius, man, because it leaves you wanting more. I really don't feel like this is a bad ending at all. It leaves you craving for more, which, in my opinion, is not a bad thing, I think. It's not the most satisfying ending in the game, but it's just so, like, it's just so wild because there's so many. It leaves it. Like, it's satisfying because it leaves it up to your mind to come up with these theories of what happened or what's going to happen or what's been going on the whole time. Like, one theory I have is that it's a treehouse. And what I think it is I think your sister is alive in the real world, and the treehouse is where you fall out of. And I feel like the boy you play as falls out of the treehouse and dies, right? And then your sister's there mourning it, but she's in the real world. And you're kind of in the limbo world, right? So then you come up behind her, and she hears this creak, and I feel like it's kind of a suggestion that, you know, maybe I don't really know. I don't know how to explain this. Maybe you're with her in the real world still, but you're still in limbo. But she doesn't know you're still, you know, your spirit is there. It's all in spirit. I don't know what it really is, man. A couple of people come up with a really cool theories. I very much encourage you to go check it out. But that's it, man. That's the whole game, and I loved it personally. We'll get into some of my likes and dislikes in a minute here. Yeah, that's the entire game, man. So let me take a break, take a sip of water, because holy fuck, I'm thirsty after talking for this long about it. So yeah, let me get back to it. 1 second, boys. All right, guys, I'm back, and I got my notepad here with me. Let me know how I'm doing so far. You know, if you hear this, leave a comment and let me know. But I feel like this episode is better. I talk about in previous episodes, not minisodes, but episodes, about how these mainline episodes, they're just way too scripted. You know, I take way too many notes on them, but I feel like I did a really good job with Limbo, because I basically just took notes about the intro, you know, what I wanted to say in the intro, my likes and dislikes, and an outro. So let's get into my likes and dislikes here, man. I like the fact that it's just a good example of art in gaming, right? Like, a lot of television shows are art, a lot of media is art, you know, not just paintings or drawings are art. There's music that's art. And I believe people don't think games are art, but video games are absolutely art, guys. And this is one of the few, not few, there's a lot of them out there, but this is art to me. It's so beautiful. It's, you know, there's so many theories. There's so much stuff that goes into it. A lot of people work hard at this to tell a story. And I feel like it's beautiful in the fact that there's no dialogue, right? There's no voice acting. I love the fact that you're playing through a game you see the progression visually. You see everything happening before your eyes. And it's up to you to interpret, which is so cool to me. I love the black and gray, man. I think black and gray was a solid choice for this game. I really can't see this game in color at all. If you've played Inside, you know how color looks on a game like this. And it works for that game. I like it in that game, but this game, the black and white aesthetic is very, very pleasing to look at. I did not get tired of it. I did not want color in the game. And that's really it. That's all I'll say about the color. I love the multiple locations, right? The different scenery, the forest, the factory, the industrial part, the housing part, the back into the forest part, the water parts, the machinery you have to traverse. It's all just it does such a good job of seamlessly changing environments, right? It never feels like you're like on to level 2 or on to level 3. It's all just feels like seamlessly one giant world that's just connected by the way you play through it. It's very fucking cool, man. I'm gonna suck the sound dick one more time here, guys. The sound in this game is phenomenal. The way the ambiance propels you emotionally through this game, and just it shows you emotionally like what to like. I don't know. It just lays it out like a blueprint, what you're supposed to feel. It does such a good job at capturing what you should feel. And then the very contrast of all the weapons and all the enemies and the gears you have to face. And they did such a fucking good job with that, man. The sound design in this game is second to none. Definitely one of my highlights in the game. I won't go on too about. It just grips you, It really just grips you. It's just so raw, so punchy, so heavy sounding, so gruesome. The traps, the bear traps, the spider. It really gives you a sense of smallness in this world of Limbo because you're so vulnerable to everything, man. They really killed it with the sound. One thing I'll say, and maybe some people won't agree with me, but the protagonist is likable, man. He's got like this little poofy hair. He's in all black. You don't really know what he looks like. It's a side-scrolling game. He's got one white eye, 2 white eyes, but sometimes it's white depending on the angle. And it's just so cool, man. He's a cool, likable little dude just trying to fucking figure out his way through this world, man. So cool. Really cool. I thought the bear trap puzzles, using the bear traps to get that one dead body off the string so you could climb it was very cool. Using the environment as part of the puzzles in this game is so fucking iconic, dude. Killing the spider, man. Finally killing the spider after you fend it off like 5 or 6 times was so satisfying. That's a good portion of gameplay progression that the devs really understood, It was so satisfying to be able to kill the spider with its own leg. You pull on it, you finish it off, you use that spider as a fucking bridge to, progress throughout the game. There's nothing more David and Goliath than that shit, dude. You finally take down this big ass spider and you use its goddamn body as a bridge to progress throughout the next part, which is so fucking badass. That's such a great design. Shout out to whoever thought of that, because that is fucking genius, honestly. One of my favorite parts of the entire game. Another thing I loved about this game is that all the puzzles, man, the puzzles are engaging, minus some of the water ones and that one magnet one at the end. Very enjoyable, man. Very enjoyable to figure out. Each death in this game teaches you. Each death is a lesson, right? It doesn't feel unfair. Each death is a lesson into where, maybe I got to play it better. I got to play it differently. Shouldn't do that. Maybe I'll do this next time. It just adds to the gameplay loop of, okay, yeah, you're figuring it out. You're progressing. You're dying a lot. I know, dude, look up a deathless run of this game. If you don't want to watch my playthrough, that's fine. I'm not encouraging you to go through. It would be cool if you gave it a click. But that's all I'm going to say. Go watch a deathless playthrough, man. These guys pop off with that. Another thing I like about it is that it's short, man. Not every game needs to be this 30-hour fucking cinematic experience. And this is one of the games that really put me onto indie games in general. This and Undertale. Man, really, really, really put me onto indie games as these beautiful, small teams that just can create something enjoyable that we all love. I really think there needs to be a place for these short 2-hour experiences, man. And it's just great because it's not a huge commitment to do, right? It's not like what did I play recently? or last year I played Days Gone, right? If you don't know what Days Gone is, it's this zombie exclusive PlayStation game that they ported to PC, which is funny because PlayStation is kind of losing all of its exclusives to PC. I just think it's funny. As an Xbox fanboy my whole life, I just think it's a little silly, but PlayStation guys are going to maul over that. But yeah, that game is like a 35-hour game, man. Days Gone, it's like a 35-hour game, and I was going through mostly main quest. Didn't do too many side quests, did a couple to level, but yeah, man, it's a long fucking experience, and it was kind of drowning at the end. Like, you just want to be done with it at that point, or I want to be anyway. I know it's an RPG. RPGs tend to be longer. It's definitely not the same as this puzzle platformer. It definitely took me more than 2 hours my first time to get through because, like I said, the puzzles were brand new. I remembered a lot of them from this playthrough. But yeah, not every game has to be a 30, 50, fucking 70-hour experience, It's cool when they're just short and sweet, and I love that about these games. That's why you can literally, I would recommend this to anyone because it's such a short experience that you can just enjoy it, man. Just sit there and enjoy it. The game is completely fair too, right? Let me know in the comments what you think, but if there's an unfair death in this game, let me know, because I feel like this game does a pretty good job at guiding you to realize what you're supposed to do, right? I feel like there's no unfair death in this game. Every death I had, I felt like, I'm fucking retarded and should do that better next time. Which is just nice, man. It's nice. It's a nice feeling to have. I like the enemies in this game, right? There's not many of them. But the ones that you come by are just, there's so much variety, right? The environment is your enemy, right? Jumping over spike pits, jumping over water pits, jumping over electrified stuff like that. The world is actively working against you to kill you. You got the spider, the classic spider everybody knows and loves. Other humans, guys, like I was not expecting to run into other humans in this game that are trying to kill you. Like, it's pretty fucked up that they're trying to kill this fucking kid, man, who's just trying to get back to his little sister, get back to his treehouse, get back to his homes, get out of this fucking world he's stuck in, man. It's just so sad, man. I'm rooting for my boy here. I'm rooting for my little dude here. I'm hoping he gets through the whole time, man. And I love this shit. So I guess we'll get on to dislikes, man. We're about 50 minutes in, so I'm going to look to close it out soon. There's not going to be that many dislikes because I love and adore this game, man. Guys, if you don't like this game, there is something fucking wrong with you. I'm about to slap the shit on my mic just because, like, I guarantee you some retard on Steam went and reviewed this and was like, oh, it's bad. You know what? Let's do that. Let's actually look up bad Steam reviews. So on Steam, it actually doesn't have... There's 51,000 reviews, 47,000 are positive, and 3,000 are negative. So already the ratio, this is actually pretty funny. The ratio is pretty good, man. This is a pretty well-received game, and it should be, man, because it's a fucking work of art. The top one I see recently posted, kill yourself after you play this game. I mean, sure, I guess. Maybe it was good when it was released, but the puzzles were not enjoyable, and I hated how often you could die because everything is so monochrome. There are better ones out there. Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. For the time, this game was amazing. And coming back to it, I feel like it still is, man. There is no room for bad reviews on this game. Really tried to like it, but the slow start, unrebindable keys, and constant death loop just made it a frustrating affair. Sorry, time to move on. Okay, this is written by a boomer that is horrible at the game. Just get good, dude. One thing I'll say is when you die in this game, you get an instant restart, you know what I mean? And it's very generous with checkpoints as far as that goes. So you can try right again right away. It's not that bad, guys. Like, I'll just read one or two more here. Fun at first, but loses strength in the later chapters with too much focus on precision timing. There's an argument to be made for that, but I feel like it doesn't hinder the game that much. You could tell the devs put effort into this game. I hope to start liking it as I played through the chapters, but it didn't happen. Okay, fair enough, whatever. It's just not for everybody, man. Platformers just aren't for you at that point, you know? The author just wants to torture game players. I disagree with that. You know, it's not that hard, you know? It takes a couple hours, man. It's a puzzle platformer. You got to figure out what to do, man. And that's the puzzle. What do you do? A 10-piece jigsaw puzzle and give up after you get half of them together because you can't figure it out? Like, come on. That's just... I feel like a lot of it's unjustified hate, man. if you're not into platformers, you're not into platformers. These types of games aren't for everybody. I'm not really into fighting games. Fighting games aren't my type, but there's a lot of people out there who love them, man, and it's just not for everybody. But I feel like writing a review and saying it's bad just because you don't like the gameplay or the genre of it is kind of dishonest, in my opinion. But whatever, we'll get off Steam reviews. And there's not much to say with my dislikes, right? I'm going to be fishing for shit to dislike. Actually going to be fishing for stuff to dislike here. So let's go through it. I only have a couple bullets here. Some jump timings are hard, That's what it is. That's part of the game. It's not completely easy. It's a get good type of situation. It's a skill issue type of situation. Some puzzles took a while, right? But that's another get good type of situation. It's a skill issue. It's a get good moment. Not that bad. One thing I will say that's actually kind of valid is the secrets are virtually pointless. There's secrets in this game. I mentioned it earlier in the video. They literally do nothing, There's no alternate ending. There's no extra ending, or there's no extra part you can go through. I mean, there's extra parts of the game where you can progress through the game for the secrets, but as far as the collectible of the secret, all you get is an achievement. There's no concept art. There's nothing like that. So secrets are pointless, which kind of sucks. And I'm going to knock a half a point off for that. I won't lie. This game would be perfect if it wasn't for the secrets having nothing. And another thing I'll talk about is the alternate ending and how there is none in this game. If you played Inside and you're coming to this game, Inside has multiple endings, one or two. I can't remember if there's multiple endings or if there's just one alternate ending, but it was very fucking cool to see for the first time on that game. So there's only one ending in this game, which it is what it is. I feel like it doesn't hinder it that much, but the secrets kind of do. I feel like getting the secrets is pointless. But that's all I'm going to dislike about it, man. That's all I have written here. If I think of something, I'm not going to put it in because there's really nothing to dislike about this game, man. You guys are fucking retarded and gay if you don't like it. And I firmly believe that shit. So yeah, let's just, those are my likes and dislikes, man. We'll get into the outro. Take a quick break. I got to take a piss here. So we'll take a piss, take a sip of water, and we'll come back to it. All right, guys, we're back. And I guess I don't really have much to say, but I guess for the outro, all I'm going to say is, man, this game makes me crave Limbo 2, or at least a DLC for Limbo. I really want to see what happens next. I know it's kind of... They were kind of going... They didn't want to make a sequel, right? It's like those... you know how most shows or games that come out with a sequel and it just doesn't do as well... they just get shit on. I'd rather have it be one sweet, concise little story that leaves you wondering. That I feel like that's part of the beauty of this game. I want to know what happens next. Like I really, really, really want to know what happens next. But all I have is my game theories and shit, and theories I can read online, which kind of sucks. But I love it, man. It's just near flawless, man. It's near flawless, and it deserves more praise. It really deserves to be talked about more, man. This is one of the few indie games that I feel like flies under a lot of people's radars. I know it's pretty popular, but it should be on top of the fucking world, man. But yeah, that's really it. That's all I'm going to say. It's got a fantastic plot, which you don't have to read through. You don't have to listen through. You just play through it and watch it happen. That's fucking one of the things I love about this game, dude. It just feels rewarding to finish, You get done through all the puzzles, you come to the end of the game, and you realize you're done, man. It's a sweet little fucking trip down a little fun time there. I was going to say trip down memory lane, but if you're playing it for the first time, then it's not really a memory, right? Fuck you. It doesn't make any sense, but shut up. But yeah, man, it just takes a little bit of time. If you're first timing it, it'll take a little longer. But even coming back to it, man, it's a game I can keep coming back to and keep enjoying because I don't remember every single puzzle in the game. Probably won't play it for a couple years. It's been a couple years since I played it, but it's a pleasure every time I come back to it, man. So let's get into the rating, right? What are we going to rate this thing? You're probably thinking, oh, man, he's going to give it a 10 out of 10, man. He's just going to give it a 10 out of 10. He's been sucking this game's cock all night, all day, all night. And, he's just dead air. Dead air. Sorry, fuck. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I just love this game, so I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Almost near perfect. We'll go 9.5 out of 10. The most annoying part about the game is sitting on the puzzles you're stuck on for a while, which sucks. I know it's a skill issue. But I feel like no game is perfect to a T. I feel like most games, they could have made one change or did something slightly better. This game is almost near perfect. I almost want to give it the 10 out of 10, but I just didn't find some of the water puzzles that fun. But that's all I'm going to say, man. There's like one water puzzle that I really didn't enjoy. I love the rest of the game. I know it's a skill issue that you can't figure out the puzzles, but that's it, man. We're going 9.5 out of 10. Killer score on this game. I think it deserves every bit of it. It doesn't make itself more out than it is to be, if that makes any sense. You know exactly what you're playing when you load into this game within the first 10 seconds, right? You know exactly what it's going to be. It's fun to figure out. It's fun to traverse. It's fun to progress through the story. It's fun to find a way to finally kill your enemies. It's just a good overall short, fun experience, man. So we got to go 9.5 out of 10, and that's really it. That's what I'm done with, man. The Limbo talk is over now. I'm done talking about Limbo. Honestly, just going to ramble for a few seconds about what I'm playing. So you can click off the video now if you want to. Older Jerry, I'm sure you don't want to hear about this. Actually, you probably do, so you'll probably stay and listen because I'm a retard, and I'll do that. But yeah, what am I playing now? Still playing Halo Infinite. Still playing Overwatch. Not going to go into much depth about that. Overwatch Season 10 drops this week, so I'll probably be playing a lot of that. I'll drop a mini-sode about my initial thoughts and the venture changes and whatnot, so that'll be fun. I'm playing through Tetrasphere on my N64 right now, trying to make sure it records well. I got an Elgato capture card that I'm using for that, so I'm hoping a gameplay captures well and it translates well to YouTube, so we'll see how that goes. Really enjoying it so far. Very dynamic and weird game. And that's it, man. I just got done with Limbo. I took 2 hours of my day to play through it today and just get it done in one fucking playthrough, man. So yeah, we chopped it up a bit at the end on that one puzzle, like I said, to get the time down. You know, I spent like 30 minutes on that fucking puzzle because I'm stupid and couldn't figure it out. But yeah, man, we played Limbo. We'll probably play through Inside at some point next, but as far as videos to expect more zombies minisodes. I might make an Overwatch one, but I don't know yet. We're going to talk about Moon next in the zombie series. We'll put out the next minisode tomorrow probably, guys. So that's it, man. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it if you got this far. I know an hour is probably too long for this game, but I just love it, man. Good, solid game. I'd recommend it to anyone. And that's it, boys. Take care, man. Have a good day. All right. Have a good night. Have a good day. Whatever it is in the time zone for you. It is currently April 12th, 2024, 8:08 p.m. as I wrap this up. And I will be throwing it on YouTube immediately for whoever to enjoy. So thanks again. Take care. Goodbye. Peace.